Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. In this video, we will delve into the fascinating process of silkworm cultivation in Japan, exploring how these delicate creatures are nurtured to produce the finest silk threads in the world. And don't forget to keep following this channel by hitting the subscribe and like buttons, and continue to support this channel so it can grow even further. Now, let's take a look at the process of silkworm cultivation in Japan, from eggs to cocoons ready to be shipped and spun into thread. Starting with the initial stage, which is breeding. In the initial breeding stage, it is important to ensure that the silkworms do not get infected with diseases. Therefore, they are kept in sterilized rooms, with farmers maintaining sterility by wearing white coats, masks, and gloves to ensure cleanliness. The food used in the initial breeding stage is artificial feed. This artificial feed is sterilized, so the risk of disease infection is very low, and it can also enhance the farmer's work efficiency. When silkworms grow to a uniform size, the silkworm rearing space is expanded according to their growth. In the next stage, which is the third stage, the rearing temperature is set at 27 degrees Celsius and the humidity at 85%. Then, on the 11th day, the silkworms are ready to be moved to a larger silkworm farm. The transfer process is carried out carefully to ensure the silkworms are not injured. They are wrapped in special cloth or paper sheets and placed in containers before being sent to the breeders. The silkworm breeders also ensure that the rearing environment remains clean by using sterilized equipment. At the larger farm location, the silkworms will be transferred to larger containers as part of the rearing stage for growth. In this phase, the silkworms will start to be fed natural food from mulberry leaves. Farmers must carefully ensure an optimal environment for young silkworms. During the initial transfer process, silkworms must be handled very carefully to avoid stress or injury. Once they have adapted to their new home, the farmers begin to prepare for the next rearing stage. The containers that will serve as the new place for the young silkworms are designed to mimic their natural habitat and ensure that they have enough space to move and feed comfortably. Expanding their living space is essential, as it allows for better air circulation and reduces the risk of disease, which can spread quickly in overcrowded conditions. Providing nets in the containers serves many functions, including offering a structure for the silkworms to climb, which is a natural behavior that supports their growth. The nets also help keep the mulberry leaves, their primary food source, in place, ensuring that the silkworms have constant access to nutrition. Feeding the silkworms is a carefully planned process. At this stage, they are introduced to fresh mulberry leaves, which are rich in nutrients necessary for their development. The farmers ensure that the leaves are clean and free from pesticides or other harmful substances. The most challenging stage in silkworm rearing is the harvesting of mulberry leaves. In order to produce high-quality cocoons, nutrient-rich mulberry leaves must be harvested in large quantities. At their peak, silkworms can eat around 200 kilograms of mulberry leaves per day. The farmers also closely monitor the feeding schedule, providing fresh leaves several times a day to keep up with the silkworms' voracious appetites. This consistent supply of food is crucial for the growth and health of the silkworms. When the silkworms reach the age ready to transition to the cocooning phase, farmers initiate a crucial process to ensure optimal conditions for this transformation. At this stage, the silkworms are carefully moved to a specialized facility designed to facilitate cocoon formation. A large number of silkworms are needed to make silk fabric, which led to the cultivation of silkworms, or sericulture. This video features silkworm farmers in Japan. who live in Guma Prefecture and are among the approximately 2,000 households in the country that still engage in this labor-intensive work. Their two-story house, specially designed for sericulture, is located on a hillside overlooking a mulberry orchard. The facility prepared for cocoon formation must provide a controlled environment with carefully regulated temperature and humidity. Such conditions are crucial because even the slightest deviation can affect the quality of the silk and the health of the silkworms. In this new facility, farmers also prepare areas for the cocoons by setting up suitable structures for the silkworms to spin their cocoons. This usually involves placing them on shelves or other supports where they can attach their silk threads. These structures must be kept clean and well-maintained to prevent any contamination that could affect silk production. The environment is kept quiet and stable to encourage the silkworms to spin their cocoons efficiently and without stress. As the silkworms begin to spin their cocoons, farmers closely monitor the process to ensure everything goes smoothly. They check the silk threads for consistency and quality and make adjustments to the environmental conditions if necessary. After the silkworms finish spinning their cocoons, the next phase involves harvesting the cocoons. Farmers carefully collect the cocoons, handling them gently to avoid damaging the delicate silk threads. The collected cocoons are then processed to extract the silk fibers, which are used to produce silk products. Next, the cocoons are separated from debris and dead silkworms, then neatly arranged for shipment to the spinning factory. At the factory, the cocoons are processed into silk threads by removing the outer layer and boiling them to facilitate spinning. When the cocoons arrive at the silk spinning factory, they are carefully opened from the sacks used for transportation. This initial step involves inspecting the cocoons to ensure they are of high quality and free from any contaminants. Workers handle the cocoons gently to avoid damaging the delicate silk threads. The cocoons are then placed onto a conveyor belt, which will carry them to the next stage of processing. As the cocoons move along the conveyor belt, they are directed to a sorting area for further examination. This sorting process is important because it ensures that only the best cocoons are used for high-quality silk production. The next stage involves boiling the cocoons. This process, known as cooking, softens the sericin, a natural protein that binds the silk fibers together. The cocoons are placed in large vats of hot water, and as they boil, the sericin dissolves, making it easier to unwind the silk threads. This step is crucial because it ensures that the silk fibers can be extracted smoothly without breaking. After boiling, the cocoons are transferred to reeling machines. These machines gently unwind the silk fibers from the cocoons. Each cocoon can produce a single, continuous thread of silk, which is very fine and delicate. The reeling process requires precision and care to ensure the thread does not break. The reeling machines collect the silk threads onto spools, ready for further processing. After the silk threads are processed, they are twisted together to create a stronger and more durable yarn. This process, known as throwing, involves twisting several silk threads together to form a single, thicker thread. The resulting yarn is then wound onto spools or larger reels, ready to be used for weaving or knitting. During the reeling process, the silk fibers are carefully extracted from the cocoons, which have been softened by boiling. The reeling machines operate with precision, ensuring that the fibers are wound onto spools in a continuous strand. Each cocoon can produce a single, very long silk thread, which requires careful handling to maintain its integrity.
巻き返します。
The spun silk yarn is then wound onto spools or larger reels, depending on the requirements of the next production stage. These reels are prepared for shipment to textile manufacturers, who will use the yarn to create various silk products. The quality of the yarn is crucial, and careful attention is given to ensure that it meets high standards before being sent out.
生地作り作業は、枷の取り扱いをしやすくし、枷が乱れないように、枷に
手作りした生糸を荷造りするのに便利でミートにしないようにしっかり束ねることを